Sometimes you look up a self-help book with 100,000 reviews, 4.8 stars, people saying things like, this book changed my life, I fixed my relationships, I finally stopped hating myself. But then there are always a few negative comments, people who are like, it's just common sense, it's oversimplified, I learned nothing new. And that bothers me, like, why are you such a bummer? But it also bothers me because if I am being honest, I know I can be like that sometimes. I'm sure we've all had those thoughts. You hear some advice and you are like, sure, that sounds good in theory. But my life is more complicated than that. So here's the thing that took me years to realize. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And sometimes the teacher shows up early, says something brilliant. And we're just like, cool story, bro. And then we ignore the teacher and go back to our friends who are like,
The teacher sounds super gay.
but this is what I believe now. Different advice helps us at different stages of our lives. If something doesn't resonate now, maybe we are just not there yet. There were lessons I learned in my early 20s that I did not understand until my 30s. Things don't click until something drastic happens, because learning isn't just about information, it's about emotion. Neurologically, we remember things better when there is emotional weight attached. So the idea didn't change. We did. Life just finally gave that lesson enough context to stick. So to the people who are critical of self-help or think those books and gurus are BS, this is how I think about it now. I started treating advice like a tool. I stopped judging it by whether it was true or stupid, because tools don't care if you believe in them. A hammer isn't offended if you don't need it today. The hammer is not going to be like, bro, you really not going to take me out with you on your date? And the hammer doesn't promise to build you a house by itself either. It just sits there quietly, waiting for the moment you may need it. And most advice fails, not because it's wrong, but because we try to use it on the wrong problem, at the wrong time, with the wrong expectations. And then we blame the tool for being useless. Like if you try to fix your marriage with a hammer, chances are you're going to prison. So wisdom isn't collecting answers. It's slowly assembling a toolbox you will be grateful for the day something in life breaks. And I'll admit, the real skill isn't owning a lot of tools. It's knowing which one to use and when. Because if you carry every tool you've ever been given without knowing how to use them, that's not wisdom either. You're just a walking Home Depot. So you don't need to use every tool, but maybe don't throw them away before you know what they are for. And once you start seeing life this way, once you treat every piece of advice like a potential tool, you stop obsessing over whether it's perfect or universal. Instead, you just quietly become more capable, more competent, and more prepared. And that's all I have for today. Thank you for listening. Peace.